Are you ready to scale your business in a way that's aligned with your soul and profitable? I'm Casey Rossi, a business and leadership coach. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 30 years and love business. I help conscious leaders increase their impact and optimize their lives. Join me each week for tips and deep conversations on cultivating confidence, increasing your visibility, elevating your vibration, and leading with purpose without burning out. Let's go. Hey there. Today we are going to be talking about how to go from being scattered to on purpose with passion. I'm really excited to talk about this topic today because I think there are just a slew of opportunities and distractions that can easily lead us to go down multiple rabbit holes, to chase the shiny objects and really feel very disorganized, all over the place and scattered. And not only does it increase our own stress and anxiety when we feel scattered and have a difficult time prioritizing, if we're content creators, it also confuses our audience. And we know that when we confuse our audience, that we lose them. If we're leaders and we're scattered, it's very difficult to model that behavior. Like that behavior just trickle down. It has a trickle down effect to our team. So that's something that there's just a multiple of an array of why we want to be on purpose and intentional versus that scattered behavior. So one of the things that we want to think about when we're talking about this topic is boundary setting, because I feel that boundaries really come into play when we're talking about being distracted or scattered. So that can come into the amount of screen time that we allow ourselves or the amount of endless scrolling on social media. I know that as entrepreneurs, that many times being on social is a necessity, but we also have it in our jurisdiction and control to set boundaries on how often we're on and what we're consuming. So that's one thing I just want to say as an aside when we're talking about this, because you can absolutely trim that down to feel a little bit more connected to your core. And also, when you're thinking about being connected to your core, that really dovetails into what lights you up. When you're thinking about being on purpose, we have this idea of having it be conscious, having it be at a level of an awareness, or having your day be by design, something that you are intentional about versus just running around and putting out fires or being in that kind of non-urgent mode where you're just kind of reacting, whether it's reacting to your inbox or reacting to situations with your team members or employees. And we are really trying to hone this back in so there is a sense of grounded presence and this really solid feeling of that purposeful intention. Now, where does passion come into play when we're thinking about this? Because there's like varying levels here, right? We can be looking at being scattered and being all over the board. And then on the other side of the coin, we can look at that by design, intentional, purposeful feeling by the way that we show up in our day. But there's also this other kind of frosting piece, which is the passion piece. And I feel that especially when we are bombarded with so much information and we wear so many hats, we have so many different roles, from leaders to lovers to parents to best friends. We're switching those roles multiple times during the day. So it definitely takes a little preparation and mindfulness to bring in that on purpose mindset. And where passion comes into play is, how do you feel? And we can do a little somatic check with our body when we are thinking about what lights us up. And when we think about the certain things that are maybe on our to-do list, we can ask ourselves, do we feel expansive? Do we feel good in our body? It could be as basic and simple as that. Or do we feel constricted and stressed? And this can help you hone in and define or redefine what you're passionate about, because I found and noticed in my own life, when I don't have that connection of my passion and purpose, it's so much easier to be scattered. It's so much easier to just let the day control me versus really being in that driver's seat and being committed to winning the day on my terms. When I start taking some time, and this is a big piece, is just quieting the noise and really getting clear and centered within your own self. And I think it's really important to do this as often as possible. I don't think it's just like in January for New Year's resolutions or once a quarter when we're looking at our strategy plan. But I think it's so very important to tune in, maybe even daily, of what feels good to me, what's my deep why. In fact, I did a whole episode on connecting with our deep why and being able to unveil that if you've become disconnected with it. So I'll make sure to share that with you, because I think that that really is one of the key ingredients on how to be on purpose, is when you're really excited. You're connected to why you're even showing up and doing this. If you're an entrepreneur, it's like, why did you start this in the first place? Because many times we can create even a monster, right? And later on, we're like, geez, I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours to be my own boss. Something's not right here. And so sometimes we have to rewind, refresh, get back in alignment, and then reconnect with that passion that we had, and then go from there. So, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is a simple support printable. It's called My Plan to Thrive. I'm going to make sure that you get a link to this. Let me make sure you can see this. It's very simple. I'm going to go through it a little bit here with you. One of the top things is your gratitude first. So there is a section at the top all about what you are grateful for. I find having a gratitude practice helps us get into alignment. It shifts our negative thoughts or our anxious thoughts or our scattered brain. It shifts that into a really beautiful, warm sense of loving presence, which I think is an excellent foundation to start your day. So that's the very first section. The next is really getting clear about your month's top goals. And I think that this is a good place to pause here, because I think it's very important to either keep that down to one monthly goal or maybe two, because originally the word priority was in a singular fashion. It wasn't till later on, after that word first birthed in our language, that it became plural. And when you think about it, priority is your most important thing. And it's very easy to see how having one important priority allows you to be very focused and lasered in, almost like a GPS, and gives you impetus to just focus in on that. It also helps eliminate distractions because you don't have a list as long as your arm. So I think that that's another common pitfall, is when we make our priorities so extensive that when we actually do sit down and have a deep work block, we're just all over the board because there's so much on our to-do list. So one of the things that I have used in my own career, and this is my 31st year of being an entrepreneur, and one of the things I help my clients do is really get very, very clear on their monthly goal. And like I said, keep it to one or two top goals that you can easily chunk down and make little micro tasks, but you're still taking that progress, moving towards that big goal. So there's a little place on this support printable to get very clear on your monthly top goal. And then the other section, which is right here, I'm just going to show you here. That's really breaking down your daily MITs, your most important things or tasks. Those are those little micro actions that are going to contribute moving the needle closer to that big goal. And here's a little tip. I recommend that you do the hardest thing first. So when you're writing down your daily MITs, put the hardest thing first, because you will feel so much better. I don't do it every single day, but I can tell you that when I do, when I take my own medicine and I prioritize the very hardest thing, the thing that your little inner voice is trying to say, oh, maybe you could just put this off to the side, or maybe you could follow up tomorrow, or maybe you could write this proposal next week. Like whatever the thing is that maybe fear is keeping you from doing it first, or there's just this little niggle to procrastinate on, I want to invite and encourage you to do that first. You will feel so much freer. You will feel so much more accomplished by the end of the day, and it fuels you because momentum brings confidence, which just brings more momentum, and you will whiz through your other most important things that you have down on your daily planner. I guarantee it. So, the other little section here is just really tapping into that feeling state. So, there's just a little area that says, I'm going to feel blank, and you fill that in when all these three MITs are accomplished. And I think that that's really important because our brains are programmed to move towards pleasure and away from pain. We are trying to avoid procrastination. We're trying to avoid that feeling of disorganization and being scattered, and really flip the script and pull it into feeling on purpose, feeling that we're designing our day and having passion. Passion is a feeling, it's an emotion. So when you really start to craft this and you start completing this Thrive Planner on a daily basis, and you're thinking to yourself, how did I do today? How do I want to feel at the end of the day? Do I want to feel like I'm on purpose and I've rocked it? Do I want to feel like, meh, it was okay? We obviously don't want to feel like, man, I missed the ball. Like I just missed the mark again. We don't want that. And part of the way is to be so aware and program our reticular activating system, known as our RAS, with how we want to feel. And that begins with being so clear about your intention of how you want to feel. And then your system will actually start working for you to accomplish how you programmed your mind in the very beginning. So if you want to feel organized and productive, awesome, write that in. If you want to feel on fire and magnetic, awesome, write that in, because then everything else that you're thinking, that you're doing during the day will help serve you to accomplish that initial goal. All right, I have two more sections on this support printable. One is light bulb moment, and the other is your win of the day. So, the light bulb moment, I feel like so much life and so many learning lessons happen during the day. And oftentimes we forget to capture those moments. So, my invitation to you is to cultivate this habit of being really mindful and conscious of those light bulb moments. You don't have to write a book. You know, if you're somebody that loves to journal, awesome, then you can create lots of different light bulb moments and keep track of that. But my invitation is just to capture one. Capture one, because I guarantee when you go back and look at that, whether you review it at the end of the week, or maybe you're even stuck on what kind of content you want to create, it's amazing when you are connected how fast you're going to be able to recollect and share this and inspire other people. So definitely keep track of your light bulb moments. And then the final section of the support printable is this win of the day. And again, especially because I know that my audience is very similar to me in the line of being high achievers and maybe a little bit of a recovering perfectionist, right? And in that, it's so easy to just plow through the to-do list and be like, great, that's done, check, move on, what's next? And we're just thinking about the productivity and efficiency pieces, which is absolutely fabulous. We need those yang elements, but we also need the yin elements, the feminine, the intuitive, the connected pieces to balance that out, to have that synergistic approach. And part of that is really being aware into this mindset of celebration and capturing what your win of the day is. This is another little caveat that I want to say here in this win of the day. So many times we are thinking that it needs to be this ginormous win, like we booked a TED talk, or we've gotten our first draft of our book written. And I think that that sets us up for disappointment and failure. And so my invitation is really thinking about even small wins, especially small wins, your micro wins, just as much as you were breaking down that big monthly goal into micro tasks for your most important things of the day. You want to be thinking about your wins as micro wins. It could literally be that you pushed yourself to do a live stream. That's absolutely a win. It could be that you approached a team member and initiated a challenging conversation and you held your cool and you were really mindful of your interpersonal relationships and your stress tolerance. An absolute win. And the other cool thing when we're thinking about mindset, when we're thinking about programming our mind for success, and we're thinking about dialing in that reticular activating system, this is another little piece that hooks into that because when you're on alert, and I'm going to say that in a different way, when you're conscious, because this isn't about like activating this fight or flight, it's really just about cultivating and stimulating a gentle awareness when you are tuned in to your wins, when you are tuned into your gratitude, when you're conscious and you cultivate this mindset of thinking about your light bulb moments, you are going to be on this perpetual wheel of positivity that your system is going to feel better at the end of the day. You're going to feel more grounded. You're going to feel less scattered, and you're going to want to repeat that the following day because it absolutely beats the alternative. So, I'm going to make sure that you get a copy of this free plan to thrive. You can fill it in and save paper and do a digital copy. Or if you're like me and like the old fashioned pen and paper, you can absolutely print it out, start fresh, have a nice clean slate. One of the other tips that I want to say about this that really sets you up to not be scattered is if you print it out the night before. And one, remember to put your hardest thing first in that first slot of your most important thing of the following day. And then the second thing is to, you can print it out and have that ready for you, but it really is about getting into the habit, so it just becomes second nature. You don't even have to think about it. You know, when you get to your desk at whatever time, I get to my desk at 8 in the morning, I already have it sitting there on my paper holder. And I'm just like, okay, cool. What am I doing today? Awesome. The only thing that I may fill in is the gratitude section because I feel that shifts and I like to be really organic and in the moment. So I may leave that section blank. But the other piece is I'm going to pre-populate the night before. So when I do get in front of my desk, I just plug in. And I don't allow my mind to think, oh, let me check this out. Let me check, this new thing over here. Because there's so many ways that we can be distracted. And it really allows you to just plug in, drop right in, and then establish these really positive habits so you feel more intentional, more on purpose. And I feel that as entrepreneurs, as leaders, when we start to develop these habits, it really will be very magnetic to your tribe because any leadership begins with self leadership. And one of the very basic and powerful foundational things when you're looking at self leadership is success habits. And this is something that's absolutely going to help contribute to business acceleration and feeling more just more satisfied, more fulfilled at the end of your day. And I guarantee that if you try this for at least 7 days, just try this Plan to Thrive planner, use this new tool and customize it in a way that works for you and your personality. Try it for 7 days and test it out. See how it feels, see how it works for you, and do a little mini audit at the end of the week. How do I feel? Both mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like, how do I holistically feel after implementing this consistently? And how productive was I? Do I see an increase of productivity? Do I see a decrease in procrastination? These are nice little ways to do a personal audit. And we always want to repeat what's successful and ditch what doesn't work. And just because one thing works for someone, it may not work for you and your personality. So I'm a big fan of adopting the practice. So ditching any blind faith, but really adopting the practice and personalizing it. So the test and measure is what I'm trying to say, that I'm a big fan of. Test and measure it for yourself and repeat when you feel like you're winning at something. Give it your full effort and then take a little personal audit and repeat it if it's successful for you. I would love to hear your experience with it, any aha moments that came up during this time together, but you can always dash me a message or connect with me on social. I would love to hear how it goes for you, because we could all use less stress, less scattered mind, more aligned thoughts, and purposeful intention. It starts with designing our day, and using this Thrive printable is one way to help you architect your day in a way that feels on purpose and right for you. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, my friend, breathe joy. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, head on over to lovethepodcast.com/brilliance to rate and review the show. TatianaTsoir shares 5 stars, very powerful content. This podcast helps women, and I love that. I believe that every one of us has something inside, something that can help make another person's life better. But it doesn't happen on its own. You have to do a little work. This podcast gives you a peek into how to do it, how to develop your own genius one step at a time. Casey is awesome. Thank you so much, Tatiana. I love the fact that you are a regular listener. You are also a guest on the show. I will link that episode right for people that want to hear more of your genius. And I just think it's so cool. I had Tatiana in my Women Developing Brilliance Facebook group when we talked all about the book Profit First. And this is the cool thing about the internet and networking with powerful women, and really embodying that we are stronger together, because that truly is a way of being. It's not just a philosophy and theory, but it's really about building relationships and then layering that one step and then one step and then one step. And it just really makes a very powerful network of powerful leaders and female entrepreneurs. So again, if you want to share some feedback about the podcast, you can head on over to lovethepodcast.com/brilliance. Thank you.